If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also, go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new album in the description. I just listened to Post Malone's new album, 12 Carat Toothache. I just got back from my late night walk listening to the album just right as it dropped, and I got a couple of thoughts on this, so here's my first reaction on what I think about 12 Carat Toothache, Post Malone's new album. Let's jump straight into this. Let's kind of go through this chronologically because, I've made so many videos on this. I've talked about this quite a bit over the past 2 to 3 days that I had some expectations. You can go check them out in the individual video for it, but this thing came through with 14 tracks and a runtime of 43 minutes, and we had 2 singles so far, Cooped Up and one right now, which I did actually enjoy quite a bit. Let's start from the top. Let's first of all start with, the title. I talked about that, him being rich, being famous, but still feeling sad, still getting depressed, and that's also exactly what this is referencing now. He really went through with this somber mood that I already got from the titles and from the, title of the whole album as well, and the single titles, obviously. And the cover art as well with the blade and the butterfly, I think looks dope, and somehow also, references that duality. Now let's start with the tracks. I think Reputation is an amazing intro to this, and the Posty intros are usually pretty good. We've had that on, Stony, Beer Bongs, Bentleys, and Hollywood's Bleeding as well. They're not supposed to be like a big hit, but they're just kind of leading up into it. And on here, he can prove again that he can sing, like this is a pretty good vocal performance from him. I think that, he has this vocal preset, this like very reverby and quite compressed vocal preset for the entirety of the record, and I think at some point it's just kind of like, it sounds very artificial, but I get that that's maybe what, that's kind of the mainstream sound he's going for. But at some point listening to this, you're like, okay, I've heard your voice like this for, a very long time now. Well, anyway, Reputation, just singing, just, getting that mood set for like, okay, this is getting a bit personal. Then Cooped Up is the second one, and I gotta say, thank you for the transitions. I mean, how Reputation then, transitions are Cooped Up, and also on other parts of the record. It's not always perfect. It's not always perfect transitions, but thank you at least for, putting a couple of them in there, because that makes it seem like it's an actual body of work and not just a playlist put together. I feel like half of the songs on here are like the, more personal songs, like Cooped Up, like Reputation, and then the other half is like the radio songs, like the the Doja Cat track, the Gunna track, and those couple of tracks. They're like, I can already hear, for example, Wrapped Around Your Finger being played in like every coffee shop like that you go to. I can already hear that. I kind of like visualize it in my head. It's, I can already see that. So that's kind of, what I get from that. But still, the more personal songs include Love Hate Letter to Alcohol, of course, that I was looking forward to very much from the SNL performance that we saw before the album dropped. I think that was amazing, even though I thought the leveling was a bit off, but I still like the track, and in itself. Euthanasia was crazy as well, very personal, talking about when he's gonna die, how it's not gonna be painful, and what it's gonna feel like for him. I thought that track was great. Also, Waiting for a Miracle, the third to last track, even though that's the last actual track, because the last 2 tracks are the voice recording and the one right now single we already had. That's kind of just like thrown in there. I kind of got a problem with that. I think the album would have ended on a way better note with Waiting for a Miracle, but he somehow had to throw One Right Now in there. I don't know if it's for sales. I don't know. It didn't really fit like that. But I like those more personal songs quite a bit. He's for the radio songs, he's sticking to a formula that works. Like, he knows that people are gonna listen to this. For example, also Wasting Angels. Like, a song like that, he knows it's gonna do well, also having Leroy on there, but it's just not I don't know, it doesn't really contribute a whole lot to the album as a whole, in my opinion. But he knows that it's gonna do well, so it's like, he's sticking to his principles at work, and he knows that it's gonna sell well. I still don't feel like this is a complete body of work that can be seen as like an album in itself that stands the test of time, just because of those couple of, singles we have in there that are just waves of contemporary styles. But that's not a bad thing, but it still felt closer to that than the other records, but it's not quite there. I kind of saw it. I don't know if this is like a right comparison. It's just what popped into my head, so I'm gonna throw it out there. It kind of reminded me of Drake CLB, not in terms of like sound or anything, but in terms of like Posty, and anything he touches is gold. Like, he can drop anything and put a very little effort into it, and it'll still do well because people just like the sound that he's going for. That's not to say that there didn't go a whole lot of work into this album. Still, probably a million times more than CLB. But that's kind of just a thought that I had while listening to the album. We can hear some other influences on here, definitely, like on Love, Hate, Letter to Alcohol or When I'm Alone. There are a couple of rock influences on there that I like, that shows that he's, concerning himself with other types of music in his free time and trying to interpolate them a little bit into what he's doing in his own career. So I did like that quite as well. And I think he's experimenting a little bit more on here, but at some points just the old Posty comes through, that hip hop and country mix that he's always been known for, definitely on a couple of songs on here. I think it also shows a more mature Posty from a couple of the songs we had, like Euthanasia. That's a very, personal and reflective topic that you talk about. Maybe that comes with the changes in his life, like becoming a father, now having more responsibility, kind of growing into his role, as to what he is in hip hop. So maybe that has to do with it as well. But I do like that. I do like that he's taking on this more mature approach to this now. All in all, I think that, this record is really good. I think it might actually be his best, even though I don't think people will perceive it as such, because it's not like the hit playlist, one after another. Some tracks are slower, but I think in completion, the mood is all the same, the somber mood, and I think that is what's more important for the album as a whole, other than just having just hits on here. But by the way, Insane goes insane. That is very dope. There's this concept of the teeth that I just want to mention real quick. He references teeth on Insane, on Love, Hate, Letter to Alcohol, how he loses them, and then again on, I think it was Waiting for a Miracle, where he says like, oh, and spit on another tooth, and then of course a New Recording, where it's just like a medley of a couple of songs on there. So there has to be some concept behind those teeth he's losing and spitting out, but I'm not quite, I haven't gotten behind that one yet. So let me know what your theories on that one are. But other than that, dope album. I liked it. I really liked the experience listening to it. Really set a mood, and maybe except for one right now that ended it on like a weird note that it just didn't have to end on. But other than that, I liked it. So that's my opinion on this. Now I want to know what you think about this. Were you excited for this? Did it live up to your expectations? What's your favorite track? What's your least favorite track? What track were you disappointed by? What track were you surprised by? What do you think the whole teeth metaphor is? All of this, please let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and you'll take care.